time to introduce Zasquia. Zasquia, how you doing? How's it going?
Good. How are you? How's everyone? Hi, Adam. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Nice to meet you as well.
Adam, I'm not sure if you've connected with Zasquia before,
I don't think
but
so.
Mando, and this is actually a quote from Mando. She's the biggest thing out of Central Florida. So
Love it.
yeah,
Facts.
just ready to shine some light on that.
Facts.
Zasquia, you are doing some amazing things in development. Do you want to shed
Mhm.
some light on that? And maybe you and Adam could collaborate on something here. I think you guys
Oh
would
my,
be a great fit.
yes, absolutely. Well, I got in the call almost when you was done, but I was trying to catch up and find out what was going on. And I love the end when you said, well, why not build on it? I was like, there you
Perfect.
go. That's the same thing I said.
Yeah.
I go through something very similar here. So I'm starting to build single homes with duplexes. Sorry, ADUs included on it. Actually, the
Cool.
flip I'm doing right now, I decided to keep it
Nice.
because yeah, I decided today I'm gonna keep it because the way that I'm doing the flip is actually an entrance, right? But the entrance has like a long, how can I explain this to you? Like a long walkway, right? And then what I did was because we had an issue with the pool and we had to close down the pool, right? I was like, damn, the money that this is costing me, it's like it's not making up for the money that I was supposed to make on the flip, right? So now I'm not a negative, but I'm not at the profit that I was planning to be. And so
Right.
what I ended up doing is changing the structure of the property and made it from a 3-2 to a 4-3. So
Nice.
the living room, because I had two living rooms, I will show you guys the floor plans, okay, at one point. But then what happened was that where the living room used to be, which it was at the entrance, is now going to turn into a second master. Yesterday, I had an investor there that, well, they're not an investor. They have two properties. They have a lot of value on it, and now they want to refinance it, and they want to talk to me so they can start buying other properties, right? So they're asking me for flips and all this if I have anything in hand, they want to start investing into real estate. And when they were there, I was like, oh my God, now I see because yesterday they were putting the wall up to make the 4 bedroom. And while I'm there, I'm like, oh my God, what if what I do is that I create another wall and do like a double door entrance? So it's the first entrance. Then the second master will be like the first door to the right. So I can rent that as a regular 1 bedroom, no kitchen, no nothing. It's just a bedroom with a bathroom, but it can easily be rented out for like $800-900 in that area. But then because the property is so big, I can either put a mobile home and then rent the main property, which is the 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom now also, and then put in a mobile home on it, or I can convert the garage into an ADU because it has a window and it has an extra door outside, right? So it has
Nice.
two, it has the main door to the entrance to the house, the garage door, and then on the side of the house, it also has another door.
Right. Nice.
So I was thinking about that yesterday, and I was like, what if I convert this property into a 3 rental unit, right? So it goes back to what you were saying right now. Sometimes you buy something and you think it's going to be one thing, and then,
Yeah, you
you
gotta
know,
get creative.
you get creative,
Yeah.
God works in different ways. So,
Right.
but I wanted to ask you something going back to your property. So if you
Sure.
decide to add different properties into it, would they all be just one connection though, right? So you're going to have to deal with including the utilities into this property, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And so the way that
Mm.
I'm envisioning it happening, we still have to get with the city. This refi has been absolute hell on earth. It took like 2.5 months to get the thing closed. But
Mhm.
so that's been our main focus. Now the next step is to start talking to the city planning office and all that zoning and stuff. The property's already zoned to hold up to 6 units per acre, and I sit right over an acre, right? And so my thought process is I can just plop modular homes there, which are going to have crawl spaces, so they're their own houses. But
Mhm.
if we can more structure the like addressing part of it like a mobile home park where it's all
Mhm.
one physical address and then unit A, unit B, unit C, that kind of thing, I don't have to subdivide. And so I have city utilities, water and sewer are right at the top of my lot. It wouldn't be very far to connect them. There will be some cost, but minimal compared to like raw land, right?
Yeah.
And then just the turnaround time for buying a modular, I can get a 5-bed, 3-bath house, like 2,500 square feet, modular, 235 out the door and installed in 3 months,
Well, nice.
which that would take 4 times as long and probably twice as much if I did it stick built. And these are stick built homes. They're just built in a factory. These are not tin can single wides, right? Like these are beautiful homes. And the tech in modular nowadays is nuts. Like if you put 2 houses next to each other, it'd be really hard to tell which one's modular and which one's stick built.
But have you found out with the okay, so let's say you do the 235, that's per home, right?
Correct.
Okay, so if you do that, then have you found out, like, if that will increase completely the value of the entire place? So if you decide to refinance in the future, like how would it go around that? Or if you decide to sell the property in
Right.
the future, so
Yeah.
what will be your exit strategy on it?
Yeah, these are some of the things that we're still trying to work out, especially because the refi was over the entire parcel because it's not subdivided. And that's kind of our next thing is, do I have to subdivide to add these lots? Or can I just plop them all there and then now show that there's this immense increase in value for the parcel as a whole and refi off of that? Because we can get financing for the modulars through the modular companies.
Yes.
And they have really good interest rates. And then my ultimate goal, like 10 years down the line, is to basically do a roll up to like a VC or a hedge fund or something, because they're getting into the sober space. I would have 5 single family houses all operating basically as a multifamily, which I'm getting 1.5 times market rent there, doing the sober model. And then I could sell it as a multiple, right? It would, on paper, it would be a multifamily, even though it's 5 separate buildings, like a smaller compound, right? Like a 20 unit and a 50 unit or whatever. So kind of like garden apartments, if you want to view it that way. That's kind of my thought process later down the line. We hold it for like 10 years or so, cash flow really well. And then if this model works where we can do the buy one, build out the rest, and then do a refi, we can just rinse and repeat in any market in the country, because we're protected, because sober is a protected class with the government. So I could even do this in an HOA as long as building will allow. Then I could take all of these separate portfolios around the country and then roll them up into one giant exit.
Okay. Sounds amazing.
Like that plan.
If it works,
That's
right?
the
Fingers
answer.
crossed.
I love that.
I think it will.
It will. It will. Where is this location? Where's this located? I'm sorry, because
Yeah, no problem. This house is in Knoxville, Tennessee.
oh my God, Tennessee is growing so much. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never planned on doing it there. Like we were talking earlier, this deal just kind of fell into my lap and it made sense. But now there's a massive need in that area and nobody's doing it in that area. So I guess I'll be the Knoxville, Tennessee sober guy. Like I'm okay with that. And obviously we're looking for properties here local in the Raleigh area, but every municipality is different when it comes to sober stuff, like zoning requirements and all this other kind of red tape. There's none of that in Tennessee right now because nobody's doing it. And so if I can be kind of the first guy to get my foothold in there, I could essentially buy the whole street and turn them all sober. And legally I could. It's just, is there enough people to support that? And right now the answer is yes. It's just I got to find the houses to put them in place, right? So, but yeah, I'm looking all over the map. And that's really like my Everest is in the sober space. So we can go into any market.
How far is it from Nashville?
I think it's 2.5 or 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your bottleneck now is sourcing the properties, correct? That's kind of
For the sober specific, yes, because we did the Burr model essentially on this one, and it just took way too freaking long. And so now I only want to acquire them creatively, where I can lock it in and basically be cash flowing from day one. I don't have to furnish these homes. They take care of utilities. They take care of any maintenance up to like $500, and there's no management fee. So it's like a triple net lease for a single family house. It's amazing. And even if I had to hold it for a month before the guys are ready to move in, I'm okay with that because I'm getting almost double market rent. And so it's just my challenge has been finding a creative deal that makes sense, that fits the 3 like main criterias for sober in Knoxville, because it's not a metro area. It's there's just so much land in between where each house is. And a big thing with sober is it has to be close to public transportation. So I might find the perfect house, but then it's in the middle of nowhere and nobody can get around.
Yeah, especially over there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's what's up.
So you're looking to obviously rinse and repeat. So you're kind of looking for that acre still, right? Kind of in that ballpark.
Yeah, for the build out. And again, like obviously these are pie in the sky ideas for now. I haven't implemented it yet. This is just the highest and best use of that land that I see. Ultimately, I'm just looking for a 4-bed, 2-bath or larger that's a half a mile or closer to public transportation. Those are really the two check boxes for sober to even look at it. And then in like a C+ or nicer neighborhood, which is 90% of America. Like as long as it's not in a war zone, they're going to be open to it. And so it's really just the size and the distance to public transportation, because a lot of these guys don't have cars. And so finding those and then in tandem being able to acquire them creatively has been the challenge in that area, because it's just a sleepy town right now. There's just not a lot of activity. And the ones that do hit that box are 15 miles outside of town with no transportation out there, right? And I've asked, I was like, can I just buy a 15 passenger van for y'all and you just drive it around? And they're like, no, there's too much liability. And we had one that was like 0.75 miles away, and I was like, can I buy them bikes and they just ride bikes to the bus stop? And they're like, nope, can't do that either. And I was like, come on guys, you're killing me. Like,
guys.
I know, trying to be creative, but I'm not working out. So but yeah, that's my biggest bottleneck in that specific market. I mean, we're looking at a bunch in Georgia right now, looking at some in Florida, and then some in like the Fayetteville area of North Carolina. And in this market specifically, it's just finding the operator. That's another thing too, because I don't want to be the one to run the house. And so finding an Oxford rep or a mom and pop sober living operator in that area to run the house has been a challenge in a couple of these markets as well.
That was my next question. Like, who? Obviously, these people, they have these experiences in their lives that they're overcoming. Just more on the human side, who is there like a mother hen or daddy hen who kind of oversees the house or keeps everything in kind of check?
Yeah, so basically the way that Oxford operates, and I think most sober operators do this, is that there's like a house manager. Okay. And so kind of the vibe of the house is similar to like a fraternity or just like communal living. Everybody's pushing in the same direction. We're all trying to stay clean. We all want to get back into the workforce and kind of pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. And so being in that community helps them stay clean, right? But there is some like a house mom essentially making sure, did you pay your light bill this month? Did you go to your AA meeting? Did you do XYZ to stay in the house? And if they break the rules, they get kicked out, and there's somebody else that comes in and fills their spot, right? Because it is such a big need. That they're very strict on that, which I love, because I don't have to deal with any of that nonsense. They handle all that, and I collect my rent regardless if there's 8 guys in the house or 4.
That's great. Yeah, it's kind of like the pad split. They'll find you the client, let's say the member, and they do that heavy lifting. So it's kind of somewhat similar, I'd say.
Yeah,
right, to that model.
It is. It's similar. It's just there's a lot less headache, in my opinion. Like I see dudes killing it with pad split. I think it's a great model. It's just the management fee can be high. They're not in every market. And the biggest thing for me, coming from a rehab background, right, doing flips and stuff, it just doesn't make logical sense for me to take a perfectly fine 3-bed or 4-bed house and chop it up into an 8-bed insane asylum. Like, no offense, but it's just like, it just doesn't make sense to take all usable living space and turn it into bedrooms, because what if it doesn't work? Now I have to unrenovate the home to be able to sell it, because nobody's going to want to buy an 8-bed, 3-bath in.
It doesn't even qualify to sell.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you want to get traditional financing at that point. And so it's like, now my rehab is double just to get it back to square one. Can I break even in this scenario, right? And that's why I like sobers, because I don't have to change the layout, because I can put multiple people in the bedrooms. Sober is all about square footage per person, not one heartbeat per bedroom, the way that pad split has it set up. And so as long as there's 60 square foot per person, which a normal size bedroom's 12 by 12, I can put 2 people in there. If I've got a huge den or like a flex space, I could put 3 or 4 guys in there legally, right? And so I can get the same type of density in the house with a lot less headache going the sober route and way less overhead compared to pad split. And on top of that, and really why I like that model the most, is that we're helping out the community, right? The addiction problem in America is not going anywhere anytime soon. If anything, it's getting worse. So if we can kind of be on the front lines of changing that, as well as doing well for ourselves, because there's nothing wrong with with doing good in the community and making money for yourself too. Right. That again, it goes back to like the kill 5 birds with 1 stone kind of thing. And so it's checking lots of boxes where we can make an impact at the community and do well for ourselves.
Amazing.
It's incredible.
So how do you gather? Obviously, there's this, there has to be some data, right? Where do you gather your data? Do you use these this is a nonprofit, right?
Yes.
Do they provide the data, or the addiction problem, like you said, this is a national problem. Are there any hot points, or do you trigger, like, look at bigger cities, let's say, or in contrast to smaller towns, even though smaller towns have issues as well? For
sure. So for me, like, again, I'm motivated, but I'm just a lazy person, right? I want the easy button, just like everyone else.
No doubt.
And so Oxford House is the biggest nonprofit in this space. Like, they have a monopoly on sober living, and they're the only ones that are really like talking about it. Like, all these mom and pop operators, I can't find them. I would love to work with them, but I don't have time to go to AA meetings and try to network with folks to figure out who's running these houses. But I can do a quick Google search and type in sober living in any area in the country, and Oxford House is going to be the first one to pop up, right? So they're low-hanging fruit, and they're in all 50 states, in all major metros. So I just call them and ask them where they would need a house. Right. I'm reverse wholesaling, but rather than finding a cash buyer, I'm finding a high-paying tenant.
No doubt. I like that. I like that strategy. Just leveraging wherever they're at.
Right. They're doing the research. I don't need to. Just tell me where you need a house, and now I have the skill set to go and hunt and find that deal and bring it to you on a silver platter.
I like that.
Yeah. Really cool.
Yeah.
So that kind of segues a little bit into what I wanted to ask you next. It's year 5 of Owners Club. We're at whatever, immersion we're at. What does that top of the summit look like to you? I know you have like 350 as your goal for sober living, which I think you're going to crush that, like, and absolutely help out a ton more people. So you're standing on the mountain. What's it look like?
Right. So mine, it changed a lot. It doubled when we were in Boston, right? Just being in that room, the synergy in that space is always crazy. So my Everest right now is I want to help 1,250 people come out of like addiction through sober living, all while netting $100K a month. And so reverse engineering that's about, I think it was like 122 homes to hit that number based off the one that we have and the cash flow we're making on it, that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, it's more than possible to do that in 5 years, especially with partnering with other folks and talking to other guys in the sober space. Just like the 4 or 5 that I know now, we can add Jason to the mix, like within Owners Club, that are doing it. It's totally possible. So yeah, in 5 years, I hope that we're at least hit that goal, if not at like 1,500 with those houses, making that 100K. And at that point, I want to talk about or be thinking about starting like my own type of nonprofit, or some sort of way to do like Oxford House myself, where I'm still not running it, but we can just put the skill sets in place so I don't have to use them, and we can go in the areas that they don't want to, right? Because they're in every market or every town for the most part, but there are those underserved areas. If there was a way to help those folks out, that'd be great, right? And we can, even if it was some sort of tandem working with them to do that, so we can just do as much as we can to eradicate the addiction problem in the States.
Powerful, man. I love that.
Yeah. It's a win-win-win for everybody. It really is.
For sure.
Yeah, like you said, there's room to grow there, right? It's like the only player in town, basically, right? We need more than that, right? So yeah, I think with some dedication, that's something that you can accomplish for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not even like a competition thing, right? It's just to keep each other accountable, right? Like if you're the only person there, you're going to get fat and happy, and things are going to fall through the cracks. And so like if you got somebody else coming alongside you, pushing you along, that friendly competition, if you want to call it that, to do that, right? And just make make an impact. We go so much further faster if we're working with other people, right? We all know this. So why can that not be the case in a much higher level organizations?
Absolutely.
I like that. I like that. And I think there's an opportunity even to leverage the people who are doing an owners club.
Yeah.
To kind of like, let's say you and Jason's kind of stepping into that space. And I know who else is on there that is kind of doing this niche, let's say.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome to leverage those relationships to, partner up. And like I said, expedite that growth also.
For sure. Yeah. Or make some sort of like collective, right? Like we could do the nonprofit all together. And then.
So I was talking to Jim Baker about that the other day because, we had the group and we were trying to differentiate. All right, are we doing co-living or are we doing nonprofit? So it's like it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's kind of hard to decipher. It's both, really. I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I think so.
It's kind of the perfect blend of both, right? Because it is co-living, but it's run, or my tenant is a nonprofit, right? I don't have leases with these guys that live in this house. I have a lease with Oxford House. They do whatever they do on the back end. And so, which made it difficult to get our refi done because these lenders don't understand this space. But we found one, we got it done. That's why it took so long. But yeah, so I mean, I think it is that marrying of co-living and the nonprofit aspect, which makes it really cool.
You said something that on the lender side. What is it that the lenders are looking for? That they,
Yeah, well, I think it's from. I was talking to Jen in Owners Club because she's a lender as well. I caught her too late in the process to switch to her, but she was basically saying that it was either the broker or the lender themselves are just not well versed in what was going on. Right? I showed them a 2-year lease. We're making $3,100 a month on this house where market rent is $1,700. So I'm making way more, which should easily hit the DSCR regulations or whatever. My lease is with an entity, which is what was their big hang up, is that this nonprofit's renting this house. Is like, yes, it's a 2-year lease. What do you mean? Yes, they're paying me to stay there. Why is this hard to understand? But I guess because they wanted some sort of underlying thing of the people that are staying in the house. I don't know. I think as we progress and this becomes more popular, just like with us growing and people in our circles getting into this space, this will be a lot easier. Because I mean, pad split was similar, right? When people were still trying to first get pad split loans, they're like, what the heck do we do with this? And so it's just finding the right people that are going to focus on it, and it's going to be like more of a niche product to get financing for these types of homes.
Yeah, it's the education piece. I was just thinking maybe that creative title and escrow can have a wing just to kind of do these type of deals, right? To kind of problem solve these issues where, again, like creative, you have to kind of educate the title company, wherever it is. This is what we do, right?
Totally.
The same aspect, right?
Yeah. Well, and you would think like me logically thinking was like, I'm the best candidate for a loan that you could ever get. I'm getting almost double market rent by a nonprofit entity that's been around for 80 years that are making the payments regardless if I have tenants in the house or not. Like, what risk is there to you as a lender?
Yeah. I don't get the hang up. Honestly, it's kind of a Section 8 thing. Hey, it's subsidized by somebody. What's the big deal, right? I guess this, again, also the person you're speaking to also might not, again, I don't know, right? Just, not be confident what they're doing on their end to say, hey, I think we're covering all bases. But again, those are the experiences you kind of go through, right?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's learning lessons.
I did speak with someone. I was on the phone with Adrian and Urania the other day, and we reached out to because they're in Chicago, and they actually reached out to a manager in Chicago, and I'm gonna have to follow up with him and see exactly what happened. But I think the neighbors kind of, I think you may have to know your neighbors before you get into the type of property you're getting, because if you get the wrong neighbor or the neighbor that doesn't agree with what you're doing, it can be
Yeah, I mean, they can definitely make it difficult. Like they can't stop you from operating, but they can make it a pain in the ass for sure. Because and that's like, do you want to take that risk, right? Because HOA like legally cannot stop me from operating in an HOA neighborhood because I'm helping a class that's protected by the government, right? Addiction is considered a mental illness. And so same with senior living, same with mental health patients, right? Dementia, all that kind of stuff. Battered women shelters, those types of things. Those can be operated in an HOA. They might not like it, but they can still work. Pad splits, on the other hand, those are not allowed. Like group homes are not allowed, right? And so you can try to skate under the radar, but if somebody finds out, yeah, they're gonna remove you. They can't do that to me, but can they make it my life very annoying? Yes. And so it's like that is still part of like the deciding factor of like, do we really want to operate a house in this neighborhood because of these Karen neighbors down the street? Probably not.
Nah, that's a pass. That's a hard pass.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you thought about I don't know, just throwing it out there, since all this is very new, right? So in a way, I mean, it sucks for you, but you should be thankful. I mean, grateful, right? That you're going through this because you're kind of like opening up the path for everyone else, right? So you're going through right now that you're going to be able to teach other what to do and what not to do and make it easier to grow. Makes
Absolutely.
sense?
Yeah,
So,
no, for sure. I want to do more YouTube videos on sober stuff. Like that big loss that I took earlier, I already have a video canned that I'm going to put out on YouTube. Like, to read my homework, right? Don't take this loss. I did it for you. Like provide that value, right? And so, yeah, I mean, being a trail, I'd much rather be at the front of the line, blazing the trail if I have to be, because nobody wants to do it, right? That old adage, if not you, then who? I'll be the guy. And
but I do wanted to ask you something, or maybe throw it out there that you can probably do. Have you ever thought about, or with this company, what's it called? Oxford, right?
Oxford House, yeah.
Yeah, Oxford House. Have you ever looked into see if they provide any type of funding also, that maybe since you do have a contract with them, they can probably do a in advance to your contract, so this can help you to reinvest in the property so you can expand.
Right. I haven't asked that question. I would assume they have some sort of grants and they have to have some sort of like residual funds for that instance. Like I mentioned, like if they have to kick out a bunch of people in the house, they have to cover the rent, right?
Yeah.
I'm not taking less. So they're pulling that from something. They're definitely raising funds from the government each year. Can they pass that along to me as one of the landlords that they partner with? I don't know. I haven't asked that question, but I mean, that's a good idea for sure.
Doesn't hurt to look into it, because if you can show them a plan that you're going to be able to bring 5 houses in, because the manufacturer company is going to finance all the houses, but they're not going to finance you the construction work that's going to take you to put the houses in place, and that's very pricey. So
yeah, totally.
like, how you're going to get the money, but if you can actually do a contract with them and guarantee them that they're going to have the tenants there for the next 2 years, all you need is in advance. I don't see
right. Yeah, well, I mean, even going to the municipalities, right? Like this is an issue for them too, because a lot of these people dealing with this are either, if they're not incarcerated, right, or in a recovery center, they're probably out on the street somewhere. And so now it's a liability to the whole town, where if I could say, hey, we're providing affordable housing for these people that need it the most, can you guys help us out? And I'm sure that there's ways that we could get grants or some sort of federal funding to help us move the needle, but it's just something I haven't focused on so far. But I already made a note about it. So thank you for that suggestion. That's great.